There we go. There we go. There we go. Check one, two. Check, check. I don't know what's up with it being a little delayed. Let me get my TikTokers going. Let's see where the best place. I'm gonna put this right here today. Let's see if we get a better spot for this microphone. Get people to see that. We'll see. That's a decent spot, but my phone has to be right here. But that's fine. I like it. Or maybe if I put this in here, that will give it more weight. No, it didn't. All right. So let's just put that there. Just make sure I'm plugged in. I don't know why I did that. And I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah. What's happening, people? 3 minutes later, 2 minutes. I got the timer up. Got my TikTok people joining in. Got my iPad ready because we will be learning. What do you think we was gonna be doing today? Clowning? We'll do some of that too. Yeah, we'll do some of that too. But we're definitely gonna be learning. Let me do a couple of checks. Let me just make sure my audio does sound good on my YouTube. Proximity is everything to these microphones, yet at the same time, they are supposed to pick up. We'll do some of that too. Yeah, we'll do some of that too. But we're definitely going to be learning. Let me do a couple of checks. Let me just make sure my audio does. Audio's working. Audio's good. But it's not where it needs to be because proximity is everything to these microphones. The closer you are, the better it will sound. And it has a lot of reverb. I also don't have a pop filter on it. Um, this is why I really need to bring another mic in here. Um, there was something I was about to check. Oh, click the little chat thing. There you go. That way I can see your chats. Move this so people in TikTok work can see me right here. And we're about to get into it. What's up, everybody coming in? Happy Saturday to you. Um, we're about to get into the nitty gritty of the business. All right. I wish I could show this better to my TikTok, but they still like it. They can come in as long as they can see it in good quality, and y'all can see your comments. That's usually what matters. Just because you see that I'm on a MacBook Pro, I don't think you have a problem with it. So, all right, we're gonna get into it. I got 7 people so far watching on YouTube. It says that's what's up. So yeah, we're not gonna delay too long. We're gonna start talking. I'm gonna talk about one subject here, and then we're gonna pivot over to the main topic of today. Let's go like this. Let's do it like that. And then we will pivot to the main topic for today, which will be going more into the MOWA Indians and the bullshit that basically is out there about the MOWA Indians, how they're a fake tribe. I'll give us a quick overview and then we'll get into the continuation of what I found. They're gonna be looking at me like, "Will you quit looking us up?" No, I'm gonna continue to look you up. Let me lower this light a bit, just a bit. Whoop, sorry about that. TikTok world. Here we go. All right, we'll put it like this. That way my TikTok world is good. All right. So let's get going, y'all. Let's First thing I want to talk to you about is the Medicine Lodge Treaty and the interesting things that I found about the Medicine Lodge Treaty so far. Um, and Medicine Lodge. May not find too much more about this, but I have some ideas. Now, why is the Medicine Lodge important? Well, when I was looking at the video and showing this yesterday about the MOWA Indian tribe band of Choctaw, I'm not even calling them Choctaw. I'm gonna call them the MOWA, and I'm not even calling them Indians. I'm gonna start calling them the MOWA tribe because that's all they are. They're just a tribe. What's up, Shakur Goods? What's up, all the Twitter folks? I mean, not Twitter, TikTok folks. Let's see who up in here. Lee, what's happening with you? Proud Seeker, what's up? Chakora Goods. I love the word Chakora. Midwest. Just seeing the word Chakora just lets me know that somebody studied. Somebody's looked at something. Because not too many people know that word even exists. Uh, but it is, yeah. What's happening? So, yeah, as yesterday, as I was showing what I have over here, we were talking about the MOWA tribe of a fake Choctaw Indian. I got to put them in their proper perspective. Uh, they talked about the steps that happen in before these for these Indian reservations. What's up, boss? Oh, okay, I'm on live right now. I hit you back. Um, So the Medicine Lodge Treaty had showed itself. This was the steps where they started going into furthering. They say Ulysses S. Grant at some point right there started expanding um, reservations in 1875, and that's an important year. All of a sudden, you're expanding reservations, and I didn't put it together till this morning to correlate with another map. Let me show you said map that some of my people have seen before that is going to show where you at. I wasn't expecting on showing this one in particular. Otherwise, I'd have had it queued up. There it goes. This map right here. Now, what is this? Well, it's the Indian reservations and American Indian boarding schools. Yeah. And when I this is map was taken from the nps.gov. So it's a government website, National Parks and Services. And when I had pulled this and saved this long ago, I said to myself, I said, hey, wait a minute. Didn't they get on the East Coast first? Didn't the YT folks get on the East Coast first? I'm gonna just say white. I don't give a damn. Didn't they get on the East Coast first? Started the colonies, started going this way, dealt with all these Indian tribes. How come this isn't listed any Indian schools that are in this area? I don't want to say the word boarding schools, that's different. But how come there aren't any Indian schools in this area? And these schools started happening around what year? Well, those boarding schools started to be open. Let me see. I should have the dates right here, or it might be on a different location for that screenshot. Here we go. They're going to be down here. So those schools started opening up. It's in one of these lists right here. Now I want you to notice the dates that these schools started to open. What is the earliest Indian school date that you will see that's not a freedman school that they labeled freedman? 1871 and 1879 are your earliest. Everything else is 1880s. And really, the Carlisle School was a military training facility, to be honest with you. That's what the Carlisle School was. The Riverside Indian School, I do believe I got some stuff on them too, being a military training facility, but we'll have to look into that. That's not really a purpose of today. I want you to notice that these Indian schools in this area start to pop up all in that map area that I was showing. I want to save that real quick to my folder called the medicine. It's not really about Medicine Lodge. Well, no, this is about the Medicine Lodge. Okay. And then we'll save this map real quick to that same folder. Just keeping myself organized in case I have to come back to it to refer to it to for you all. But why am I showing those? Again, everything was in the north and on the west coast. Well, this Medicine Lodge Treaty that I just realized and found out about. Let me save this too. This Medicine Lodge Treaty. Let me go back down here. Which they said was the first step towards Indian reservations. What's up? Make it make sense. Just looked over there. What's up, Rico Mills? Everybody else coming in, and what's up to all the folks out in TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube world. But yeah, so 1867, they said that the Medicine Lodge Treaty was one of the first ones. And I might show a little bit of the video clip, but basically they said this was one of the first ones that kind of established Indian reservations. So I had to look into it. I'm like, okay, well, what made them establish an Indian reservation for these folks? And start doing this whole thing of reservations of lands. But honestly, they were already doing it prior to that. Choctaws, Chickasaws, and all of them, they got reservations of allotments of land up there in Oklahoma, which was given to them. Not that they had to purchase, they didn't buy it, whatever. And I'm saying those words for a certain reason. But the Medicine Lodge Treaty, this was one of the first ones. And I want you to notice what I found after that, after the Medicine Lodge Treaty in 1875. They started expanding tons and tons of Indian reservations all over the place. Now, that's not coincidental either. That was definitely planned, but they planned it in certain locations. And then you have the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, and then we move to the present, which is needing the Bureau of Indian Affairs to actually get federal acknowledgement, and not too many people can do it. Now, Medicine Lodge Treaty. I was like, what was I getting at? So with this Medicine Lodge Treaty, I want you to understand the first thing that I realized. When I was looking into the Medicine Lodge Treaty, I went into the newspapers. Okay. Went into the newspapers. And in the newspapers, I noticed the Kiowas. I said, the Kiowas? Is this Medicine Lodge about the Kiowas? I'm not gonna read through the whole thing, but I was like, the Kiowas. What are so you give a reservation to Kiowa Indians? Now I know something about the Kiowas, which I will show here momentarily. In fact, let me send that video over to my MacBook Pro before I forget, so that way I can show it to you all. The Kootenai region. Hold on. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So we'll get to the Kiowas here momentarily. But I noticed that the Kiowa was listed in the newspaper under the Medicine Lodge Treaty in 1867. In 1867. Let me move that out the way so my TikTok folks can see it. In 1867. Now you're talking about the Kiowas. Now, you got to know what's transpired to this point. To this point, it's been westward expansion. For those who don't know, westward expansion happened 1803, Louisiana Purchase. People started moving west. They start telling people in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, all these little areas, hey, which was originally Choctaw, Chickasaw, all these other areas. Hey, if you all want to stay, you can stay. Otherwise, go to Oklahoma. If you stay, you'll be a United States citizen. If you leave, you will still be an Indian in Oklahoma. Just go do that in Oklahoma. Okay. And then eventually, now that's 1830, and people start moving there after 1830, your Trail of Tears. And then next thing you know, you got certain things that start happening. You have the Civil War, but before the Civil War, you have the Dred Scott case of 1857. I'm gonna be dangerous when these people really start trying to combat me and debate me on some history. I'm surprised at myself that I know so many dates and times and shit. I ain't even gonna lie, it's just like I can write this shit off like nothing, man. These days, it's pretty crazy. But you have the 1857 Dred Scott case because that was pivotal because that was one of the first times they started putting African language, admitting to being an African in the court system in a case. That case set precedent for legislation to be passed for anybody who might admit to being an African. Like if you're an Indian, but you let propaganda make you think you're an African, now you're admitting to being an African instead of an Indian, giving up your real status. If you end up doing that, then you will not be under the protection of the United States as a citizen. Technically, birthright citizen doesn't include you. But you start having legislation come out after that. 1860, you get the rewriting of the slave codes, and I can show all this stuff. I just don't feel like pulling it all up because I wasn't trying to. I'm just giving you a timeline. 1860, you get the slave codes, and those get changed to add in African language. African language saying if you admit to being an African, you're not a citizen. Okay. And then next thing you know, 1866, Albert Pike and the Masons, who were half breeds, not even half, like quadroon or 1/8 blood white Indian mixed Indian chiefs, they started putting together new treaties. All of a sudden, also introducing African language. Nobody ever called you an African like that much in legislation, at all in legislation, but much that I can see most of the time is Negro, black, colored. But prior to then, I don't see a lot of African language, but they throw that in there and separate you from the tribe. Now the 1/8 blood white folks that married in remarried out of the black folks, and now they look like hella diluted white folks, but they still have people in their family that look like mulattoes, what you would call a mulatto, which mulatto had many different meanings. And they start saying those mulattoes were the real Indians. See, his grandma was the Indian. Yeah. His half blood grandma was the Indian, and you full blooded black skinned person with the hair like you got. Oh no, you came from these Africans. See, that's where the whole shit starts to happen. 1866, that happens, right? Freedman language, less than 1875, where we're at now. Well, 1867 at the same time. They said, hey, we just met up with some Kiowas. Notice I said westward expansion. If you keeping up with me, a westward expansion. So if we look back at this map, westward expansion, which they started going to the west, they ignored all these other places. Now they've met up to where the Kiowas would be. Huh. Now all of a sudden you're expanding Indian reservations. Now all of a sudden Ulysses S. Grant, after he's met with these Kiowas, he's like, wait a minute, there's a different kind of Indian that's up here, possibly. Well, let's expand these Indian reservations. Let's put as many of them out there as we can. Let's start Indian schools. Let's actually give subsidies. See if I can find it real fast. Oh, where you at? Right here. In fact, Ulysses S. Grant said, hey, let's actually give subsidies to Catholic schools in these areas where we found Kiowas and other places where we have expanded Indian reservations, and let's um, build reservations up there and start expanding reservations and Indian schools up in that area. Well, okay, that's where we get to that photograph. Not to say that there wasn't Indian schools in the other areas. They called those freedmen schools because you were black. Now, technically, at the time, they weren't called freedmen schools. They had a name, the Tuscaloosa Manual Labor School. I'll show you for those who haven't seen it, and different ones. And they later on called these freedmen schools or the Oak Hill Industrial School and an Academy for Choctaw Freedom. No, it was called the Oak Hill Industrial School. It wasn't called the Academy for Choctaw Freedmen. It wasn't called the Oak Hill Freedmen Choctaw Indian Industrial School. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. Okay. Or you got, and here's another amazing photo of it. But look at this photo. This is the actual schoolhouse that they built themselves, and I have proof of that, of them saying proof of them building it. But let me get to the Tuscaloosa one real quick. The Tuscaloosa, no, I'm sorry, the Tallahassee Manual Labor School in Oklahoma. Tallahassee comes from Tallahassee, Florida. You know why? Because these Indians came from goddamn Florida. When they, it's real easy, real simple. You know what I'm saying? These are the Indians that were in Tallahassee that came to Oklahoma and started the Tallahassee Manual Labor School. Black copper folks, copper, so-called black in the beautiful Indian Territory. Okay, so the schools were there, but they didn't provide those conveniently on the map here in the United States government website. Oh, what freedmen schools are you talking about? What schools for these Indians? Those aren't Indians anymore. Anymore. We've expanded reservations to other Indians after the Medicine Lodge Treaty and after Ulysses S. Grant got in there. Now they kept expanding until at some point the expansion stopped and somebody the BIA put in place regulations for there being any kind of new expansion. So everybody's kind of grandfathered in that's already done made it in without genealogical paperwork, without all kind of shit. They were made into tribes, okay? Made into reservation tribes in certain areas. That's what I wanted to get at. Now, let me show you another thing. Now, I said that the Kiowas were part of that, right? I also noticed in the newspaper when I was looking up the Medicine Lodge, right? It was under the Cheyenne situation. I said the Cheyenne and the Kiowa? Now I'm starting to ask questions because I know that these people were kind of came in around the same time. And let me show you that here as well. Let me say what's up to the TikTok folks that just done came up in. Let's see the people who I may know. Let's see. What up, Casey? What up, Uku Kawi? I don't know you, but I appreciate the gifts. Indio's Magic, appreciate the gifts. Rico Mills, appreciate you. Stormy Rain, what's up? Appreciate it. Proud Seeker, appreciate you. Big Uchi Indian, what's happening? What up, Regal? Just saying my what ups. All right, so now we got the Cayenne and the Cheyenne. I mean, the Kiowa and the Cheyenne mentioned in the newspapers about the Medicine Indian Treaty Lodge or whatever. So, okay, now I'm asking questions. Now I'm like, wait a minute, let me Google this. What all? I forgot what I Googled, but I'm basically like, oh, I Googled Medicine Lodge Indians. Like, who all was included in the Medicine Lodge Indians? Is it the Plains? Medicine Lodge Indians refers to Southern Plains tribes, Kiowa, Comanche, Plains Apache, Cheyenne, and Arapaho. I said, oh, okay. Okay, now it's starting to make sense timeline wise. They've been dealing with black, so-called black, copper-colored Negro Indians that they would compare to Ethiopians and other things for quite some time, since the beginning of so-called first contact, to be honest, right? And then all of a sudden in 1830, they do all the removal. They send a bunch of niggas to there. They do all this westward expansion, been doing all these Indian wars and things with us, right? Then you finally get all the way to the west and you find possibly a new group of looking people, people of different lookership, I should say. Now you find that, okay? So now you have something in your head. I'm gonna go based off of this. In my opinion, many of these tribes were copper as well, and our people as well. But either had contact with these Alaskan natives sooner than we did, or these tribes were just Alaskan natives. Some of them, but the reason why I say that is because I know for a fact Apache had some of us because James Brown, I wish I had that clip. I probably could have Googled it, but James Brown said his mother, I think, was either Apache, mother or dad, Apache and Blackfoot. So then that started getting me thinking. I was like, okay, Apache and Blackfoot. I was like, well, the Apaches, I know there's some black Apaches, and the Apaches are more in the southern area. The Apaches, let's pull up a native. Let me pull up Indian Territory Map, Library of Congress. I don't know if it's going to show the Apaches area because it was again. Now this map is from 1600 to 1800. Will it list the Apaches going this way? It might. It might. Let's see. It does not list the Apaches. I can see. I thought I saw it on here, but it makes sense. And that no, not there, not there. There was the Takapas, but they really the Ishike Indians. But as you can see, this area, and there's the Blackfeet right there, Blackfeet Indians. This area, and that's why I say a lot of these people were likely copper colored, just as well. But the Apaches are supposed to be down up in here. I see Shoshones, which that's kind of some bullshit. Possibly, I don't think. I don't know. Let me not say that about Shoshone. The modern day Shoshones are. I don't see Apaches. It might be there, and I might just be missing it. But what I'm getting to is you'll notice that a lot of that area is not colored in. It's kind of haphazardly there, whereas these have a lot more tribes in them. And the map is a lot more dense than this. This is kind of just some overview and manipulated map of tribal names of more modern times because some of these tribes, like Seminoles Creeks, that's really different. But you don't see the Apaches, right? Now, if the Apaches are black folks, and if the Blackfeet are black folks, then we got to start asking questions about when did these other people really get here? Well, but let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. This will give you the story from their point of view. Yeah, right here.
The Kiowa's journey onto the plains
This and do this and do this and do this. Got to be all extra with it. I need to be by my logo. All right, so let's play this. This ain't nothing but a second. Let me turn the volume up for my TikTok fam.
The Kiowa's journey onto the plains began somewhere in the Kootenay region of British Columbia, Canada. From there, they migrated into western Montana in the 1600s.
You see that little area? They said the 1600s. Okay. That's well past 1492. It's well past the 1500s. Yeah, so they wouldn't have came down, but let's keep going, right?
Around 1700, they reached the Yellowstone River area.
They reached that third dot around 1700. Okay. A little late. Okay. A bit late, but okay.
10 years later, after acquiring the whole.
What's up, Nikki? She said, "Oh, guys, how long you been on?" 31 minutes. Actually, I got a timer right there in front of me. I didn't realize it. 31 minutes, but I'm still decently in the beginning, to be honest, because this isn't actually the topic for today. It was a good starter topic. We're talking about the Medicine Lodge, kind of going into about the MOWA tribe, but we're gonna get into this MOWA tribe for damn sure. What's up, C3 Mama? She said before British colonialism, who was there before then? Yeah, it was people. It was definitely people there before they got there in 1700s, and up in that same area on this map that I'm looking at. Let me switch it around. Add my what you call it back in here on this same map that I'm looking at. That's kind of cool. You got other people up there like the Blackfeet. The whole area listed as Blackfeet between 1600 and 1800. And then you got some other ones up there. What did they say these are? The Kiowa? I don't even see the damn Kiowa name up here. 1600 and 1800. I don't even see the Kiowa listed. They could be down there, but they on some bullshit. Who documented them before the British? Who documented the Kiowa before the British? That's a good question. That's a good question. In fact, I'm gonna end up looking more into the Kiowa. I don't know a lot about their history, to be honest. Somebody wrote Matoka. Ain't Matoka the real name of Pocahontas? Said, okay, cool. I've been needing to be fed. Let me feed you this knowledge. Let's get this game in. We ready this morning. Then comes Jeffrey Amherst. I haven't heard about that name. But yeah. So said the French. So what did they document about them? Oh, you might be going back and forth with him. My bad. But yeah, so and I'm gonna have to look more. I haven't even started my journey into the Kiowas and Comanches and Apaches and some of these people. And really, this is one of the first things that really kind of pointed me that way. And now I'm gonna have to. Now trying to get myself in the frame. Now I'm gonna have to look into them because now I notice that they come in at a pivotal time. They come in at a time where they're trying to separate us out of our tribe and they're expanding their reservations like a motherfucker, but without any proof, like crazy, just through executive orders. And the reason why I say that we're going to get to that, it was Ulysses S. Grant that put out a ton of executive orders that actually ended up causing this to happen. Oh, you said no, look into it. He was intentional, General Amherst. And look into what the French document about them. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to. So, let me finish playing this little clip real quick. So let me. It's only like 30 seconds long. I'm gonna start it over here real quick.
The Kiowa's journey onto the plains began somewhere in the Kootenay region of British Columbia, Canada. From there, they migrated into western Montana in the 1600s. Around 1700, they reached the Yellowstone River area. 10 years later, after acquiring the horse from the Crow, they found a home in South Dakota's Black Hills. Very quickly, the Cheyenne and the Sioux drove them from this home. Again, they moved south, where they fought a bloody war.
Now, that last place they ended up was Oklahoma. Now, they didn't just end up there. I don't know why it explained it that way. They didn't just migrate to Oklahoma. Land was leased for them to come to Oklahoma, and land was leased from my folks, the Choctaws and the Chickasaws, and I'll show that. So let's look at this, because when I was let me switch this back. Get that off of there. Get that off of there. Get that off of there. Put that back on there. There we go. When I was researching a little bit more into, now this is from the oklahomahistory.org, about the Medicine Lodge Treaty. I'm going to read this top part. You can see I got something highlighted there, right? But it says here, it says, in October 1867, a U.S. Indian peace treaty signed 3 treaties at Medicine Lodge Creek near Medicine Lodge, Kansas. Notice we're in Kansas, right? One treaty was made with the Kiowa and Comanche, those people who just kind of came down. I need to find that actual video because it talks about the Comanches in there too. And I thought I saved the clips, but apparently I didn't. I might have it on a documentary I did some time ago, but I may not. Either way. But okay, they first signed a treaty with the Kiowa and the Comanche. Okay. Let me try to make that big enough to hold it right here where y'all can see it. All right. With the Kiowa and the Comanche, a second confederated the Plains Apache with the Kiowa and Comanche. We'll get to that. And a third was negotiated with the Arapaho and Cheyenne. The United States promised the tribes peace and protection from white intruders in return for amity and relocation to reservations in Western Indian Territory. The reason why I highlighted that is because who reserved it? Who was that reservation? Whose reservation was it? Whose land was it? In Indian Territory. Says the Senate ratified the treaties in 1868. Now, the reason why I say that is because, let me find the map. You know what? I think to do this least. Okay, it's under here. Let me do this. Showing all folders. Yeah, but that's not the one. Goodness. Where is the right one? This must be it. Showing all folders. There we go. All right. So in 1830, during the Indian Removal Act, the Dancing Rabbit Treaty gave lands in Oklahoma, and it looked like this. The Choctaws and the Chickasaws got land. Now, the land that they got was their land. Okay, it's reserved to them. I don't even think it's called a reservation, to be honest. You don't even see the word reservation on here, actually. It's called territory. Now that I think about it, it's always been referred to as an Indian territory. I've never heard of it referred to as an Indian reservation. Has anybody ever put that idea out there like that? Has anybody ever recognized that? Indigenous territory. Has any of y'all in TikTok world, anybody ever realized that these have always been labeled as Indian territories? But let me say this, there are some Choctaw reservations, but then you got to ask, typically those reservations are in other states. Oklahoma ain't just some big reservation. This is Indian territory. In fact, said no, it's been territory. That's what I thought. And I might have to look more into that because that now you start to wonder. So if Indians live in Indian territory, what kind of Indians live on Indian reservations? Now, are there reservations inside of the Indian territories? So what Indian reservation could be, and I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm kind of going off my brain right now because I'm just realizing that I'm just like, but okay, let me get back onto this. But yeah, that's a thing. It's the immigrants. Yeah, you know the immigrants. It's the Armed Occupation Act of 1842 and Homestead Act. Refugees, yeah. So this is what it looked like then, right? Then this was leased. This is what it looked like afterwards. The Choctaw and Chickasaw still own the exact amount of land that they had before. They still own. I don't even say own. They have it. You can say own, but I don't like to say own because that implies that they bought it. And we're going to get into that because the MOWA tribe, they had to buy their land. This wasn't bought. This was given to us in a treaty, right? So the land is ours via treaty. We leased the land to the government for the purposes of allowing other Indian settlements, according to this right here. I was about to say, I think it's right there, actually. This case right here, the United States versus the Choctaw Nation and the Choctaw Freedmen. And when you come down here, let's see. Right here, right here. Let me zoom in for my TikTok fam so they can read it a little bit better. You won't be able to see my face as much, but I want y'all to be able to read some of that. All right. You'll get to see a little clip of me. So it says, and y'all can somewhat see it there, but at least you can screenshot and blow it up if you really want to read it. But it says here, by said treaty, didn't I say by the treaty? The said tribes leased to the United States all that portion of their common territory west of the 98th degree of west longitude for the settlement of the Wichita and other tribes of Indians, which means it's our land, right? So who gets put on our land that we lease for money? And when you lease something, that means you're the landowner, right? You're getting rental payments in a sense, right? On what you leased out from the government in order for them to bring over who? If y'all were real Indians, how come y'all didn't just get some land somewhere? How come they didn't make a treaty with you all to give you land that is solely yours that you could lease to the United States government? You got to wonder. But what does it look like now? What it looks like is now we have Indians who are not really Indians in Indian territory on leased government land from the real Indians, who they would later call freemen, black, all that other shit. That's what it looks like. Should also show the people who were called Indians. niggas gave me the hand claps. I have a legitimate question, if I may. You can type it in the chat. Yeah, if you got a question. Lease means rented, exactly, and the government would be paying us rental payments, which they do. In fact, I got a document in here that shows the amount of rental or annuities paid. It wouldn't be called rental technically; they call it annuities paid. They leased the land to them. They sold it to them in a lease, or they put it. No, they leased it to them, but they paid them basically like a lump sum of like $300,000 or something like that. But then they put that $300,000 into a trust or interest bearing account, whatever. Not one of the two, to where interest is paid off of that money over time. And as long as people are over there on that land, interest is continuously paid off of that money. Uh, well, I don't know if it has to do with anybody as long as they live on the land, but at least interest is being continuously made off of that money. How can we fix all this? How can we get our land back? Do your genealogy and go get your land through land patents if you got some. If you don't find your land patents, then just kind of depends. But that's pretty much a two step. The Texas two-step. The picture is from 1891. You talking about the picture I have up? Or you talking about a different picture? And what's your purpose for that comment? I guess it is admirable that we are all finding out the truth, and TikTok is getting bombarded by what it is. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Everyone did it on land. Yeah, exactly. Because and it could have just been under certain family members' names, and maybe your family member that you've looked up haven't, but you might need to look further back. It might be a cousin's, uncle's, something who was the main person, that might have owned some land or something like that. What up, Mars? So as we see here, now you've moved some Indians who could be fake. Apaches could be real, now mixed in with these folks. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. Besides the whole thing with James Brown saying that he was Apache, one thing that I noticed also was I actually pulled the treaty itself up in the National Archives and started reading through the treaty. Y'all know me. I ain't gonna stop it. I ain't never gonna stop it. That's just one thing, but your boy gonna pull up some shit. Okay, so let's see here. It said if you was in the 13 colonies, you will find your land in the 1700s. Yeah, especially those 13 colonies. There was a lot more records in the 13 colonies, at least for a while, because those English were over there, and they didn't burn as many of those records. They was When they started expanding west, they started burning records, Indian records, and government records, and courthouse records and stuff. You got to wonder too, how are there already courthouses there for you to even burn? Well, hold on. Let me look at the dates. Let's look at the dates real quick. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then we're gonna get on to the what you call it here soon too. Right here. Now, these are all the Alabama courthouse fires that were destroyed between 1823 to 1965. Most of them in the 1800s, right? Well, you got to think about it. They didn't really get there till around 1812 to 1415. So you mean to tell me they built up all these courthouses and then set them bitches on fire that fast? Hmm. Or you're gonna tell me that the courthouses that they burnt were the French and Spaniard courthouses because only French and Spaniard people can build courthouses. Yeah, yeah, that's what they were burning. The records from the French and the Spanish. I'll let people run with that, right? 1828. What was there for you to burn in 1828? What courthouse? These are courthouse fires. Whose courthouse? I wonder what that courthouse looked like. Hmm. Is it one of them ancient buildings that's all over Alabama? Even the little small towns got ancient buildings. Did y'all know that? Even the small town. I follow people on TikTok who love going around showing these buildings everywhere they at. In Georgia, Alabama, like all kind of. You can go to random town. I wonder if we could try. I don't want to try to take up time doing all that, but I was gonna try to like just randomly pull up. My bad. Let me do this chat. Okay. What do I do next if I found my ancestors' land patent in 1885? I'll contact a lawyer. Jalen Woolrich. Don't get me wrong. There are people on TikTok you can follow. I think J A Research, J the ampersand and a research. I think it is. I think she helps people try to take some of those steps in finding your land through getting your land back through land patents. And there are some people on Google. I mean, I'm not on Google, on TikTok. I would search TikTok land patent, Indian land patent, and they might show up. But typically, I would be going to a lawyer and some kind of land lawyer, because that's what I plan to do. I got land patents. So I would be trying to find some kind of land lawyer that deals with that and find out what all my options are. Watch different videos about it on YouTube. There's videos about heirs property and people talking about it. We was watching one and this lady said it. I think she said it costs money, cost her some money because of her situation. But I think it might have cost her around $10,000 to try to go through all the paperwork and lawyers and this and that to get to it. But ultimately, and that's a pretty steep price. It may not be something you can do in your younger life, but maybe some when you get older, have a little bit more of a nest egg built up, you can try to follow these paths. Okay, and you're following them for your future and for your people's future. So yes, yeah, Regal said he uses J&A research. What's up, Monet? She said research that what was happening in the area at the time as well. Yeah, yeah, what was happening in the area of where your people were at the time. So if you get all the way back to a certain area in your genealogy, let's say Virginia 1712 or something, and you can't get further back, start looking at what was going on in 1712. What Indian wars was happening? Typically those will give you clues. They'll be like, oh, and the people from this Indian war left to these states. Then you start looking in those states and you might find surnames in those states. I lived in Yorktown, Virginia for 10 years and never knew that was one of my motherlands. Ain't that crazy, man? And that's the crazy thing. Oh yeah, people were putting it in there. I missed the J&A research. People that's the crazy thing. You could be living so close to places that are named even after your family and wouldn't know it. Like in Oklahoma, we was passing through Love County on the way to Dallas in Texas all the time, but didn't know at all that that's our family. Supposedly slaves couldn't go to court, and our families have court documents. Mm. Well, I wonder why they couldn't go to the courts. They didn't want y'all to have it. They burnt all the records. It's almost like pressing delete on the hard drive, and then when they load it back up, they only allow certain things to be recorded for a while to continuously keep you out of the motherfucking the records. But okay, my bad. Let me get back to this. So what I was getting to, because then we're going to get to the MOWA tribe and how this kind of connects. So again, we're talking about Medicine Lodge Treaty and why it was one of the first treaties that started implementing Indian reservation expansion. Now, really Indian reservations, because prior to then, Indian territories, I believe, were just given, but there could have been some reservations. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's another thing. But Medicine Treaty Lodge, definitely the start of it. Executive order expanding reservations. I can show y'all real quick that I have that executive order right here, and I was showing people. This showed that they were expanding. There's 574 recognized tribes today. 50 of them were basically not from this list, I believe. They said 50 were done after only 50 were approved after they started putting in like certain requirements to become a real tribe. But here you got all these, and notice they're in certain places: Arizona, right? Apache Reserve, Fort Apache, right? There could have been some black. There were some black Apaches, but also there could have been some Hispanic, Spanish, Hispanic type Apaches. Why do I say that? The area used to be New Spain before then. Okay, it was New Spain. So who could have, even though they wasn't all over, just because they claimed it and put it on the map, don't mean they was all over. But Mexico's right there where the Apaches typically are. They're down there in the Arizona near the border, New Mexico, all that. So yeah, there could be some Mexicano looking Apaches, right? But they're not really a real Apaches. They could be. They could have married in, right? I know some Seminoles who married a Spanish woman, even back in that day. You know, not Davis Dendy, Monday Dendy Bruner did married Elizabeth Manuel in the 1700s. But I don't want to pull all that up. But these, the Moki tribe, the Hopi Reserve, Navajo reserves, Arizona. It's 160 pages. Minnesota, Montana. We're gonna get to the same things. Montana. I don't know. Little Traverse, the Ottawas and the Chippewas. Which I know some black Chippewas actually. There's a copper colored Chippewa who's on here. So yeah, some of these White Earth, all these, but it's 160 pages. I ain't even got through. I'm damn sure not gonna read it. I ain't gonna read. I can't. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't notice there were tables and things that showed up after a while. I thought it was just gonna be a bunch of sections, but it's just talking about land description and areas of land and where it's at. That's not too interesting. I thought I was gonna be talking about populations and stuff like that. All right, so that was all going on up until they finally started putting in requirements that you need certain things to become a tribe. Now, I'm gonna show you another thing that I thought that was pretty interesting on their actual treaty. My bad, I didn't get to this part. On the actual treaty, it says, and J.B. Henderson of the one part and Kiowa, Comanche, and Apache Indians, represented by the chiefs, headmen, duly authorized and empowered to act for the body of people of said tribes, the name of chiefs, the headmen, hereto with hold on, wait a minute. There was something post Civil War. Hold on, y'all. Okay, here it is. Damn, zoom in. What are you doing? All right. Hold it over here for you. All right, so it says in the treaty, the said Apache tribe of Indians agree to confederate with and become incorporated with the Kiowa and Comanche Indians and accept their permanent home. Now think about this. Why did I decide to hide? Why did I decide to circle this? Because this is going to lead us into the MOWA Indian shit. Well, why does this light look like it's that bright? Well, no, it's just coming through my phone. It's not that bright. Well, the remember I said that the Apaches likely are copper colored. You got James Brown saying his people are Apaches. And here you have in a treaty saying that they agree to confederate with the Kiowa and the Comanches. Well, we know for a fact the Kiowa and Comanches started up north and came down, right? 1600s, 1700s. We just watched that. So why would you be requiring somebody to confederate with somebody in a treaty? I haven't looked 100% yet, but I have yet to see that I remember. But I wasn't looking for it at the time. But I have yet to see a treaty that required confederation. What is confederation? Partnering up with other tribes in a group, a pact. And they're requiring that in a sense. And the reason that I can think of it is kind of similar to this MOWA fake Choctaw tribe. You need a certain amount of real Indian blood ancestry to be able to become and be recognized as a real tribe. Confederating a black tribe together with a tribe of Alaskan natives if that's what they are, gives them access to that blood. And in fact, I was just watching, I just saw something too that said, well, y'all gotta love me. A continuing form of leadership, a network of kinship, and a certain degree of Indian blood, which we've got. The BIA accepts 1/8 Indian blood as sufficient. Now, this is the MOWA. Let me read the whole thing for you right down here. Among the criteria established by the BIA for official recognition, on that last one, for official recognition of the Indian community, said Weaver, are living together. So, among the criteria, that one-page criteria that I showed y'all yesterday, and I can show it here after this, living together as a social group, that's one thing. Continuing a continuing form of leadership, that's another thing, even though this is really paraphrasing and it's really a little bit more involved in it. But it says a network of kinship. I don't know where the hell they got that from. That ain't what that, the BIA ain't say that shit. And a certain degree of Indian blood. Should be a lot of degree, but okay. Which we've got. It says the BIA accepts 1/8 blood as sufficient. And these people couldn't even show that. Okay. These people could show 1% of 1/8. 1% of their tribe could show 1/8 of a percent of Indian. At least, maybe, according to the records of the BIA. So that alone, but notice you have to have that blood. Well, I know that requiring the Apaches to confederate with the Kiowas and Comanches, if they don't have that blood, and if they are the fake tribe, which they didn't get real Indian land when they moved over there, they got leased land from the Choctaws and Chickasaws, my folks. Uh, that gives them that permanent genealogy in a sense. Like they can always look back and say, well, as Kiowas and Comanches, we were always here with the Apaches, and there are core families. So yes, we're Indians, and they that's what they can say based upon this, especially it's in the treaty. So let's go for it. Okay, so we're gonna get off of the Medicine Lodge, and we're gonna talk more about the MOWA tribe. I don't even want to call them Indians. I don't want to call them Choctaws at all. They are the MOWA tribe. I really should just say MOWA people, to be honest. I'm gonna start saying MOWA people. I don't even want to call them a tribe. No, yeah, they're the MOWA people. Okay. So we're gonna get on to them because I started looking up more documents about the MOWA tribe. This time I'm looking in the newspapers. Now I can't remember what I wanted to start with, so I'm going to read some of these things here, and then it'll remind me. But we're going to go into these MOWA Indians. I'm starting to remember some of the stuff. Churches backing the MOWA Indians Feeding Project. Now this is in 1988, and one of the reasons why I did this was for two reasons. One, it's starting to show, it's kind of showing how this fake Indian tribe, I'll say that when I put the word fake in there, that's the only time I'm gonna call them an Indian tribe. This fake Indian tribe is going around cosplaying not only just within their own little household and playing games and shit, but on top of that, they're in your communities acting like they're doing something for the community. Okay. Which is absurd if you really think about it. But okay. But when you look at it, I want you to notice this part right here. Both churches took on the project of helping the MOWAs raise $26,000 $746 to provide a tractor, job training, hose, seeds, and fertilizer, with the Native Americans providing $10,000 of the goal. Oh, I'm trying to think. Feeding people in the tribe was listed as a priority of Snow, who outlined a garden project designed to feed 240 families with more than $70,000 in produce and increase the average income of poor Indian families. Yeah, no, I was right. I was right. At first, I was like, well, maybe I misread that, and they helped the church raise the money for the church. So I almost thought I was wrong for a second. But looking further into it, no, wait a minute. They was giving money to these broke ass MOWAs, um, for the 70,000, for food to eat and shit like that. And let me pull up another thing just to show y'all. Yeah, they broke, broke ass niggas. Hold on. The public
Recognize sovereignty puts in a position to change the way their tribal members live. But Native peoples aren't waiting around. Talked about story, but it's impacting thousands of indigenous peoples in America. 80.
Who's in here report? Either somebody's reporting or I'm just getting restrictions because there's restrictions. Let me look down. Hold on, y'all. Whatever. Restrictions, whatever.
Talked about story, but it's impacting thousands. Change the way they're trying something. People were their rights, and every day asking for nation spanning challenge that could sovereignty recognize tribes.
Okay, I can't. It's one of these clips. I don't have to show you, but one of these clips would affirm that they poor as hell. Okay, and since I'm blocked or got my restriction, I'm gonna be even more vulgar. I don't get better, I get worse. Let's see. Let me see. It violates community guidelines. Let me see what this says. It won't even tell me the detail. Oh, it says themes that some may find uncomfortable have been restricted. Violates community guidelines. I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. Said that AI might be tripping sometimes. For real. For real. Yeah. Okay, so these people were broke. Are broke. Okay, my bad. Not where they are broke. And they out here pandering for money through churches and shit like that. But okay, let's go to something else. Now I already showed y'all in this the main thing that I thought that was kind of important. I hadn't read the whole thing. In fact, I still got it up so I can read this whole thing. Here's another thing. Let me read what I circled. The MOWAs. Oh yeah, the MOWAs last week received a $47,000 federal grant to continue research in their family roots. How come we can't get a grant to continue research in our family roots? Or can we? And we just don't know about them and we haven't signed up for them. Or were they only doing it at the time for certain people? How did they end up with a grant for $47,000 for genealogy? And who got paid to do the genealogy research? I'm pretty sure it was a genealogist within their own town. Right? That's how they do. That's how you funnel the money. You ask for the grant, you get the grant, you do a couple people's genealogy, and you say you did it. You pocket the rest of the money. I don't know. Even if they did do the genealogy, it didn't matter because we've already seen that the BIA laughed at it. The BIA said this they said it not only does this not prove that you're an Indian, this pretty much disproves you're an Indian. They said that in the paperwork. I almost saying like, nigga, everything in this thing is saying you were nowhere near that. but yet y'all still play the games and get grants. Now, this might have been, I think this grant was given to them before they actually applied for that. Possibly. I got to go look at the date that they applied for that. In fact, let me do that. The dates kind of, that could be 1994 or 84. The dates kind of fucked up on it. 1994. So it was before. At least it was before. They got laughed at. But they knew they didn't have no damn history. Okay? They knew they didn't have no history. They got paid a grant. Like, you know, if your family was Indians. Not either you know or you don't know. If you know that they are, then you know. Okay. But if you don't know, you don't know. Because some of us don't know because it was erased from us, right? But if you know, you know. So going there doing all this stuff, they got paid $47,000 to basically put together some bullshit on purpose. Is what I get from that. Let me go back over here. Is what I get from that. 47,000 for genealogy research. The group took the name MOWA, blah, 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 blah. Let's look over here what I did. It says, he said the research has been a part-time venture with people going out in the summer, conducting interviews with MOWA members and combing state and federal records about information on their ancestors. Is that $47,000 for a part-time thing? I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If you got 3 people working on it, it would be a part-time salary. If you split that 47,000 up amongst 3 people in a year, that's a little part-time salary. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you know, that's still pretty hefty if it's just 1 or 2 people to get a quick 20K. If it's 2 people, get a quick 23K, split it, go do your research, pay for a couple records here and there, you know, whatever you got to do. So, but they were looking for it. And as you can see here, MOWA Indians years away from federal recognition. Sorry, they didn't get it. Didn't get it, but they was all in the newspapers about this federal grant they got. And it couldn't have been a federal grant. It had to be a state grant because they weren't federally recognized. Let me see. They said it was a federal grant. I don't know what kind of federal, because they said they got it from the Department of Human Services. If I remember right here. I didn't circle it, but the grant is from the Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Native Americans, according to Russell Baker, the MOWA executive director. But DHS? Is there a federal national? I guess there could be a federal head DHS office, but DHS would be doing something like this? Worried about genealogy research? Maybe so. I don't know. But okay. So then you go here, and this even more so confirms it. Everybody was talking about that $47,000 they got. Right? I was like, okay. MOWA Choctaw tribe numbers of thousands. Why did I do this? I think I did this because it was talking about how the population is over like 7,500. Yeah, over 7,500 people. And I just want y'all to realize that 7 to 8 people would be 1%. What am I talking about? Only 1% can show that they only 1% can show that they have Indian ancestry. That's 7,500 people would be 10% would be no, my bad. 10% would be 750. 1% would be 75. I'm sorry, 1% would be 75. Not 7.5. My bad. 75 people can show that they have Indian ancestry, if that. Okay. But you got to think about it. These people keep saying shit. I wonder how many men have been removed from that tribe. Keep saying the same. Appreciate that. Yeah, well, that's the thing, CR. This ain't really a tribe. This is the Choctaw or the MOWA band of Choctaw. So now it's opening up a new idea on fraud. You don't have to create a new Indian tribe, which they did in the past and would get quick recognition through an executive order and get a reservation, right? And I'm glad you said that. You just made me think about it. I really appreciate that. So now you don't come up with a fake tribe in order to get federal recognition. Now you come up with a band of a tribe that already exists. And you encourage copper colored real Indians with real ancestry to come into your band to try to get federal recognition for your area and get funds. See, these people are sinister. These people are real sly with it. You know what I'm saying? Real sly with it. And I didn't even think about that till my dog just said that. Said, let's do it. These bands and clans need to be investigated. Exactly. Clans also. Now when I started looking up like the MOWA Indians, I saw that there was a Shingles band of Miwok or something like that. But I know the Miwoks are copper colored. Now you got to wonder how many copper colored people are in your tribe to allow you to be a band. But if they're not even federally recognized, you ain't even got to ask that question. You know they don't have it. So all non-federally recognized bands and clans are literally fake cosplaying Indian tribes that continuously live and act like they're trying to be a tribe, knowing they have zero or very, very little ancestry. And in my opinion, it's not, you got to start asking, why are they trying to be a tribe? In many cases, like these MOWAs, they were trying to get gaming regulation or gaming approval for gambling, I should say. Because being on sovereign land allows you to do what you want to do. And typically, what these weirdos do who are in the gaming industry, they go around looking to try to classify themselves as Indians in order to gain these things. And these people will wait it out. They'll do it for years and wait it out. And what do? Now I'm starting to see if you're a corporate, if you know you're gonna make millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars off of gaming, you just start dumping money into a tribe or into a fake band in an actual town, like the MOWAs. They start living and acting and faking like they're a band of Indians. And what is that going to do? It's not going to buy you Indian citizenship, but if enough real Choctaws start believing your bullshit story and start joining your band, well, now you can end up getting the actual possible recognition that you want from the federal government, allowing you now to do certain things on sovereign land if they like, if they allow you to take on reservation land and do what you will, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, no, I'm really starting to see the play on this shit. Really. Eastern Band, Cherokee, Texas. I know, right? I didn't even think about that. You know what? And you know what is important to know about the Eastern Band Cherokee? They all receive a lot of money from gaming. The real Cherokees had left, they don't receive government funds from all this. It's literally a bunch of people in a co-op, a business co-op that they administer per cap profits on all of the industries which they have invested into together. I'm not mad at the whole idea of community building and sharing of funds. Like in Oklahoma, there's Homeland, which is a grocery store, and it's called a co-op. And I need to look more into that. That's really something neat we should be doing. And I think there's more other stores out there, but it's basically a store that's owned by the people that work there. And if I believe something like that. And everybody gets profits from it or something. I don't know if you just go work there, if you're gonna get some profit. I forget exactly how it goes. But the people of the town or whatever own it. And so that's really how the Cherokee band is over there. That's where they're getting all their fundings. But because they're successful at doing it, and I don't know how they got the gaming over there. They might have, there's something over there. Maybe they got enough Cherokees that stayed per the treaty to enroll in to give them at least some federal recognition to get some sovereignty in order to build the gaming facility. But most of it is still probably the money coming in. I'm gonna have to look into that because that's some crazy shit. I just thought about it, yeah, because they definitely are one of the bands that's doing it big compared to some of the other ones. Seminoles also. The Texas, Louisiana Creole Band of Chatas. See, we're gonna have to look into all of these. And at first, it starts to you start to think. If you look into, like, I have a list that shows the federally recognized tribes, and like I saw that the Mississippi Band of Choctaw was in there. Now that would make you believe, okay, well, I don't need to research further because they're federally recognized. Obviously, they have the ancestry to prove it. But then we got to look who has the ancestry to prove it. The only way I could think that we can probably possibly find out is if all documents in the BIA are public, which they might be, because I don't know how I found the MOWA ones. I wasn't looking for it. I don't even know how it came up. I forgot. But if the MOWA's application is public, their application might be public. We might be able to take a look at the core families that they put down in their application and take a look and see who are those core families today. What's the bulk number of the core families look like? What do they look like today with their surname, with those surnames, right? That's something we'll definitely have to figure that out. I said what's creating the clan band would actually play our favor since we are for exactly. That's been my thoughts since I've been doing this. Not since I've been doing this, but since I've been on this MOWA thing, because this is the page of requirements. The one page of requirements from the BIA. Showing ancestry is like number one. I was like, well, shit, we can do that. And then it's like predominant portion of the group, distinct community, blah blah blah. You kind of got to live together as a community, whatever. So we do need to do kind of like what you were saying, Sierra. Also, it's like to be honest, I'll tell y'all too. My lifelong goal is to open my own city. I've had this idea since I was like 19, 20, 21, somewhere around there. And I don't even know why I got the idea back then, but I have definite plans. The first goal is to get rich because the only way you're going to do it is to get rich. You could try to do it through, group economics and trying to get a bunch of people to pull in and donate and this and blah, blah, blah. But that's a whole nother ordeal. And I just thought to myself back in the day, like, if they could create cities and towns back in the day, we can do it today. You know what I'm saying? We got way more shit available to us. I've seen them be created. And I'm talking about, like, maybe when I say city, first you start off as a little town community, buy you about 40, 80 acres, 2 big city blocks. And then you convert those blocks into residential and commercial. You have a couple apartment complexes for major amount of to densify the area. Then you also have a commercial area, and a lot of this is just like you'll find it in many cities. They do the same formula, and it's done many different times when they develop a certain block. But you have like a major grocery store with a chain of stores around it, and that's supposed to be the area that you want all the people in your 40 to 80 acres who are going to be there living there to shop excuse me, to shop, right? So you can rotate your dollars, right? Even as you invest. So you buy the land, 40-acre plots, whatever, big, whatever. You can Google how many homes can fit on a 40-acre plot. I think it's somewhere around whatever. Really, it won't be, you won't take up the whole 40 acres if it's land block, because part of it will be commercial. But let's say how many homes can fit on like a 30-acre plot. You'd be like 300 homes or something, right? How many homes could you get per acre? Look up how many homes you can get in per acre. It will give you the average number of homes per acre, depending on a random size of home. Your basic three bedroom, 2 bathroom home. And then from that point, you have 300 homes there. You have an apartment complex where you might have another 300 people, and you have a commercial district where you have your main core things, gas stations, stores, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? And those people will mainly shop where they at, because I shop where I'm mostly at right now. I live in Deep Ellum downtown. Downtown is kind of cumbersome. Deep Ellum is only certain things right here. I do have to go outside of it, but I can just walk to where I want to go. And usually they will do the same idea, redo it inside the urban areas where they make a block and they'll make a apartment complex. And on the bottom of the apartment complex, they do a lot here. There's a grocery store attached to the apartment complex. Well, why would they do that? How come? When did apartment complexes start saying, let me put a grocery store here? Well, it makes more sense because as an apartment complex developer, now you're going to have somebody that's actually leasing out a big portion of your building. And then you got people living on top of that bitch as well, bringing in rent, but that's going to give you longevity. And those people also come down and actually buy from the Albertsons or the Tom Thumb or whatever. Why wouldn't they? That's the closest store. They can walk to it. You're solidifying your base of customers through the word I'm looking for, proximity. You know what I'm saying? And so over time, and then also another thing, you want to, if you're going to be on the outskirts and plan this on the outskirts, you want to have businesses. That's why I need to be rich and have business. You want to have businesses that also you can hire people, right? And they usually would like to live near where they work, right? Most people love to do that, right? So the people that you pay in a weekly check will go home into the house that you built, right? Paying a mortgage. You've already made your money off the payment from the bank, so they ain't you. But then they'll come to your grocery stores, right? They'll go to your gas stations, they'll go to your whatever, and they start spending that same money you just paid them to do the work back to you for goods and services. You want to rotate your dollars. There's many ways to do it. But then also, see, I was talking about that form. There's a form in order to incorporate, and what you need to incorporate: certain amount of people, certain amount of a board of directors, whatever, a board of whatever, not the board of directors, whatever it's called. He knows the details. I haven't looked into it, but you start putting that together and actually create, in a sense, your own jurisdiction where you can start to govern yourself even further, implementing things or protecting yourself from certain situations from the state. Like if you can create your jurisdiction before you start doing certain things, you would be less likely to have issues happen to you from the state that would cause cumbersome issues. What am I saying? Let's say you start to build a certain type of building. They don't want you to build that. They create a code, or it's a code that they got that they don't want you to build that. And they can come fuck with you. And you're like, well, this is for my folk. Well, that's why you want to do your own jurisdiction and all that other stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna get off of that. But let me look down. I know I done went all the way. So said y'all cooking eating pancakes and my fingers are sticky. Please carry on. I just read that enchantment. Hey, Express. Grocery store and child care in the complex. Exactly. We'll definitely need some type of military. Uh, uh I get what you're saying on that, Big Ichi. We can do that with farmland as well. What I would say like that on that is with the military part. Uh, we need more of a. I'll put it like this, because protection is right. You're 100% right about protection. Um, Not necessarily militarily, but definitely covertly. You need a strong team of, because we're in modern times, so people can't just come drop a bomb on our town like they could before without it catching some kind of national backlash, if not international backlash. They won't be as blatant as they could have been in the past. So you got to look towards the more covert things that they'll be doing. In fact, when you first start doing it, you got to be covert. Like I got to be covert. When I first do it, I'm not buying land in my name or under anybody black, so-called black. You create LLCs under LLCs under LLCs, and one of your LLCs who hires a consulting firm in real estate, commercial real estate, they go out and make that purchase. See what I'm saying? And all the paperwork pretty much incorporates their name. And you know who does this now? Bill Gates. It took people and other people too, but that's just one prominent one. When he was going around buying up all the motherfucking properties and land, farmland, it took people to have to investigate to figure out it was Bill Gates. Shell companies, exactly. It took people to investigate to have to figure it out. By that time, that nigga already sitting on properties. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be just as smart. You know what I'm saying? Shell company purchases development via other folks that doesn't cause any red flags. We may have to have a developer of a different color, or try to mix it in, but might not make it look so obvious. People who are actually not developer, people who are doing the construction. My bad. Different things. But we also got to look for all kind of have a team of lawyers, because once they find out, there's going to be a ton of legislation coming our way to try to stop us. All right. So you're going to have a team of lawyers to help get past any bullshit legislation they're going to throw at you. Because that's where they're going to go first. Like when Kanye West was building his little bullshit shit he had going on, he don't know what he's doing with all that money when he had it. And when he said he wanted to create a city, I said, yeah, that's good, no. But you don't know how to do that. Like, and it's not only look, the government. I feel like the universe put me here for this reason. A lot of the stuff in my life I used to eventually started dealing with like the building of a city. Like I ended up eventually becoming a telecommunications and cable engineer. And I was traveling, working blueprints for companies. Now, let me preface this to say, prior to this, I was already like creating like 3D model cities with a little small shit and shit back in the day in my mid 20s, late 20s, still thinking about the idea, knowing what I was going to be doing eventually. And then later on in my life, I became before I say that, so I would like plot out all the little squares. Each square is a fucking house plot, and I literally drew out the streets and how the commercial area is gonna be and all this other shit, all the shit. And eventually, when I became an engineer, I literally realized that I'm writing on blueprints with a bunch of squares on it. Oh, wait a minute, I'm literally engineering this entire town's outside plant, and not just the cable and telecommunications. They ride on the electrical power poles and pathways. So I also have to know electrical poles, pathways, and construction, as well as telecommunications and all that. Well, also the gas and power line. I mean, the gas and water lines and everything. A lot of it follows the same easements or the same paths. So here I am now, whole cities. I pretty much know their whole layouts. You know what I'm saying? Not just the wiring layouts, but I actually know the city's layouts. I had to get every address, and that was cumbersome as fuck. I had to get every address and write it down until they finally came out with more computerized processes that put them there for you. And write it down on every little square, every low address to every fucking commercial location. I had to figure out every footage on every piece of way to get a wire from the pole to your fucking place. And where and I mean, so much stuff I had to know, man. But I'm glad I got to do it, because when I start a city, I mean, there's so much stuff that I can do alone, besides just having to hire a bunch of people. There's so many blueprints. I mean, there's so much shit I can do, man. Y'all don't even understand. I ain't even gonna lie. But anyway, let me get off talking about how amazing I am, okay, and my plans for a city. But let's get back to the Miwoks. Or not the Miwoks, I'm sorry, the MOWA. So oh my god. Okay. So my restriction went away. That's what's up. No, it didn't. It's still on there. But why is there a green light? Ain't that a bitch? Does that look like an Indian? Does that look like an Indian? And why they always going bald right there, man? There's something wrong with these folks. Something wrong with these folks. These people ain't real. These people ain't real, man. From tomahawk to festive shirt, Paul Huey Franklin loves Indian things. Yes, yes, he does. He's Indian not by blood, by heart. I had to show that because we know it's not Indian by blood. And when did this come out? 1983. And this is they were talking about the MOWA tribe in here. That's why I found that about the MOWA tribe. And in fact, I hadn't even got into that yet. So this is from this, okay, and you have Mr. PDF. I'll say it. They done already restricted me. The PDF. That's certain words. Certain words. That R word. If you say that R word, you shut down right quick. So let me not test. But Mr. Hippie guy here, he was on here, and then in here I saw this, which I thought was kind of interesting. He went to visit them. I don't know who the he's talking about. And when he told them he was a Quaker, they welcomed him. President Ulysses S. Grant, which is the president, who they said is the one who expanded reservations, right? Ulysses S. Grant took the Bureau of Indian Affairs from the War Department. Now, didn't we say the Bureau of Indian Affairs used to be the War Department? That's the main reason why I circled this. This really ain't got much to do with the MOWA. I just had to circle that, right? But he turned it over to Quakers. I gotta go look at it. It says the Quakers treated them more like human beings. I gotta go look more into those Quakers. I keep hearing it. I understand, but I haven't looked nothing into the Quakers. So I am kind of curious. But that was your Indian by heart, okay? Because he loves you. He damn sure loves you if you join his tribe or his band so he can get those gambling benefits. Please join. We love you. Okay. Birdheads Mobile Charter. Bird. Now, this is one thing. Governor Bird. Now, is that the same dude? Hold on, let me make sure I'm not tripping. Oh, you know what? I said that wrong. Now I feel stupid. I can't read. That's Grover Bird. I was just about to say, boy, this is corruption like above a Governor Bird. How you be the governor giving yourself state contract? Nigga, read, nigga. Read correctly. Okay, sometimes I read. Y'all see I read a lot of shit. Okay. Sometimes a nigga might misread. Okay, that's not governor, that's Grover. What's up, Bass Prophet? What's up, Tabitha? Yeah. Sometimes your boy might misread a little something. Never be afraid to admit when you're wrong. In fact, admitting when you're wrong is a real good sign of knowledge, of a knowledgeable, intelligent person. People that can't admit that they're wrong, I'd really question them. But yeah, so I'll read this, but it may not have as much of an impact. Now I know he's not the governor. But Grover Bird of Mount Vernon was recently named chairman of the Mobile Choctaw Indian Commission. Prior to Bird's appointment, all federal block grants and other social service contracts have gone to the MOWA Choctaw Indian Commission of Washington County. But he did say that federal block grants and other social services, but they can't be. I believe these people, in order to get these other grants, they must be applying as something different. They either must have a 501c3 or something else, because they're not really getting federal grants and things based upon being an Indian. That would mean you're federally recognized, and they don't have that. So my thing is, these people are cosplaying and still figuring out ways to get other grants. And you got to think about it, because I showed you yesterday how they got a grant to give COVID vaccines. So you got to think, these people are just looking for any kind of grant they can find. Like, they wake up every day looking for grant money. But they'll talk shit about you and being in our race, talking about we welfare recipients and baby, this and that, and the third, we on welfare. Section 8. When they're sitting here literally every day fiending for grant money. I wish I could get some grant money, and apparently I probably could if I was to really look hard. Niggas just figure we ain't getting no grants, okay? And every time I done seen some of the little grant programs and shit advertised, I'd be like, them niggas ain't finna give me no grant. Ain't granting a nigga a goddamn thing, right? But okay. But they were getting grants, all right? Here's another one I thought that was pretty funny with a photograph above it. We'll look at the photograph more closely here in a second, but let me read what it says. Said, Mr. Samuel, your research is impeccable info, very informative. Hats off to you. Appreciate that, KZ. Definitely always appreciate the accolades, y'all. Bro, no more your skin looking good. You got the shine. No, it might be the way that this the light and the and the camera is doing, and actually it's also on top of that the what do you call that, the iPhone is seeming like it's adding a little extra added with, because the regular camera and how far away I am, I ain't even gonna lie, my face is getting better though. I appreciate that. My face is, what's up, Jackson Harlem? Appreciate you coming up in here. I'm about to be 2026 Grant King. We should all start looking for them damn grants. If these niggas are sitting around every day, shit, we need to try to figure that out. But yeah, no, I do appreciate that. I have been using certain oils and stuff, and it helps to get rid of my blemishes. I still get a pimple here and there, and then when it goes away, it has a blemish. But at least these oils I get, those blemishes will go away within about 2 to 3 weeks. I'll see the blemish gone, which is pretty dope. This is why I buy shit for my Indian folks. I got that. In fact, I'm going there today. It's 11:15 to the Saturday. Reminding myself, I'm starting to. I should have been doing this. I don't stay but 5 minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes from the damn farmers market, the best farmers market in Dallas, the Dallas Farmers Market downtown. And there's always black folks up there, copper-colored Indians, so-called black. And I was like, I sat there last week. I said, why the fuck am I buying all my damn vegetables up here at these stores? I was like, man, and half the time I go in some of these stores, except for Trader Joe's, their shit is pretty good and on point. But when you go like Tom Thumb and some of these other ones, it be gnats flying. One time, look, I'll never forget it. I'll never buy a head of lettuce not in a plastic bag again, unless it's maybe from a farmer's market. But like one time I got a lettuce and I never looked at them. I started looking in between the little leaves of the lettuce. Every single piece had 1 to 2 to 3 gnats in it. I was disgusted. I said, and then I realized, as soon as I seen it, I said, wait a minute. There's gnats always flying around that shit. How come I'm just now realizing they would cram themselves in the crevices of the goddamn vegetables? How many of these vegetables did I eat that was full of gnats? I'm going crazy, nigga. Oh my god. I almost wanted to throw up that day. Like every time I pull back a leaf, nigga, gnats. Gnats. I have not bought since then leafy vegetables, not in the motherfucking bag at them stores. And Tom Thumb, not even that not Tom Thumb. Tom Thumb is where it happened. Trader Joe's, most of their shit is in bags already. And you try not to do the whole plastic thing because you're trying to conserve, you're not trying to do the plastic. But if y'all niggas can't keep the gnats out, the goddamn store, y'all niggas can't do something at the gnats? What the fuck is up with this stone, man? Come on now. Now you got to think about it too. That's how cleanly we are. We'll trip over gnats. Nigga, if you go to an African market, nigga, everything on top of the dead meat, nigga, flies, bees, nigga, bugs, roaches, everything crawling all over the meats and shit, nigga. It's the most nastiest thing in the world. Anyway, we'll complain about a gnat, nigga. I may not show back up to your shit, nigga, for some gnats. Fucking with us, nigga. We the wrong people, okay? Said African protein. Let me read this, my bad. I'm definitely gonna make my way to the farmers market today. And if you have one near you, you should too. Oh, I meant to say that there's black folks, copper colored folks, that sell stuff all through there, especially produce, and all that, your vegetables and stuff. So I'll be going over there today. And when I bought some, I had bought some broccolini, and that was some good ass broccolini. That shit was really good. All I did was steam it, throw some salt on that bitch, and that shit was really good. Sometimes I usually used to broil my broccolini with a little butter and garlic, but really it has an earthy kind of flavor. But really, when you just throw that bitch in a motherfucking steamer with a little salt, you good to go. But my bad. Let me keep going. It says right here. It says John Giddings, right, the dude on the far right holding his paper. What is he holding? Now this is important. This is important. He's holding the paper. Washington County State Bank. It's a bank paper. Is shown presenting the deed to the 160-acre site near Culvert, which is Colbert. Culvert is Colbert, which was purchased recently by the MOWA Indian tribe. Purchased? You had to buy your land? Last thing I remember, the Choctaws didn't have to buy their land in Oklahoma. Most people that get allotted land don't have to buy it. So that should make you start wondering, if any tribe is buying land, are they really Indians? Not to say that a real Indian can't buy land. I'm a real Indian. I can go buy some land, but does that make it an Indian reservation? No. Who reserved it? You? You reserved it to yourself when you bought it? Yeah, this is mine right here. I reserved it. That's not what a reservation is, nigga. You do not buy reservations. Why am I going into this over and over again? That's another form of them playing games with you. When they come to your door, they're going to tell you, yeah, we got a reservation right out here. The MOWA reservation of Choctaw. Ain't your family Choctaw, Mr. Black Man? Don't call me black, but yeah, I'm copper color. My family is. They are Indians. My grandma said I was an Indian. Yes, Mr. Black Man. We would love for you to join our tribe. We have a new reservation just given to us by the government. I think y'all lying about that, but I don't know. Maybe you're not lying. We have white girls available. I'm in. Not just playing. Let me get to them white girls and I'm in. You little sellout motherfuckers. You little sellout son of bitches. Okay, that's all they needed to sprinkle some white girls around you. Now all of a sudden you're joining their tribe and giving them your blood. God damn. Anyway, this says here was purchased recently by the. So that's I was just saying. This is another form calling themselves a tribe, making themselves look like they're Choctaws, calling this land that they just bought a reservation. This is all playing into you. Do you think they're doing this to fool the BIA? The BIA don't give a damn you purchased 160 acres, nigga. Well, we just purchased 160 acres of a reservation. Are we qualified now? No, nigga. Quit. We'll be back next year. We'll try again next year. Quit coming back. You're not going to get ancestry, okay? Unless you get a bunch of niggas in your tribe. And that's what they're going to try to do. That is the purpose. I'm seeing that now. Now, let me finish reading this. It says, to some members of the commission, the presentation was made recently at the bank. Plans are to develop the site as an Indian gathering place. Receiving the deed are Elizabeth Sullivan, Barbara Johnston, Cleve Reed, John Rivers, Freeman Weaver, and George Snow. Obviously, surnames that are not Indian. Likely. 1% might be, but I doubt it. John's son is, I don't know about John Stun. It could be, I'd have to look John Stun up. But Johnson, we know is. We know Johnson is. Reed, I don't know. That could be a Reed. I'd have to look that up, but other than that, just think about it. These would be your MOWAs that were buying the land at the time. They would claim today to be Indian, and they cannot show any ancestral paperwork going back. Okay. I don't even think they can show it going back to the 1900s. They changed the process to where you only have to show it back to the 1900s, and they have not yet reapplied. They keep putting out these little things talking about they fighting for it. Well, if you did this big study of genealogical research with that $41,000 you received in a grant not that long ago, if you did all that research and presented it, and if it took you back pre-1900, can't you just as soon as they put that up, wouldn't you just be right there? Like, okay, well, y'all changed the requirements. Let me do it right now. Let me apply. If they haven't applied, what does that tell you? That tells you that their research doesn't even go back past the 1900s. So when did you get here? Ellis Island? Some random boat? Immigration through military service? When did you get here? I don't know. We somewhat know. Military service through Indian schools, right? And other things, but we pretty much know. And so, yeah, I'm on these Miwoks heads. There's going to be, not Miwoks, I keep getting them mixed up, MOWA. And Miwoks is some bullshit too. Well, the real Miwoks aren't. The fake Miwoks today are. But that's really all I have for y'all today, man. Like, I was going through these newspapers and some of these other things, and I wanted to present some of that this morning to you. And we also talked about the treaty, the reservation expansion, and think about this: the reservation. I was about to say how something, but the reservation expansion came out, and everybody and their mama was basically getting all kind of reservations before they had requirements. After the requirements, only 50 tribes got their whole thing got approved. Since then, that shows that a lot of people are not being able to show any kind of genealogical history paperwork past these years, except us, because we're not applying. We haven't been applying, and the only tribes that may have, there may be some that have, I don't know, some small tribes out there that applied and got recognition, and we may not know about them. But one thing I do know is some of these tribes like your Shinnecox and your different ones. Not Algonquin. There's another one I was trying. Iroquois and something else. But there's people like us at the head of those tribes. It makes me wonder, did these tribes eventually start having to figure out that if they want to stay, at least the people who were there that are not supposed to be there. Think about it. We could take control and probably kick their dumb ass out. I don't know. I'd have to know the there might be some grandfather clause I don't know about. But there's a reason why they're putting people in there. Now think about this. Think about this too. I just thought about it. Remember there was this whole thing where there was like, I gotta look more into that too, where there was like some of these Cherokee tribes, 5 civilized tribes, they gotta start, it's almost like they gotta start letting in more freedmen. That's what they call, right? And you got, now that I'm wondering, like we're thinking that it's just because some requirement came out that all of a sudden is requiring them or something. I don't know why, right? But come to think about it, what if the tribes numbers were starting to, they were increasing in white folks and everybody else and decreasing in the amount of people who have real ancestry, and in order to keep their government recognition they needed to increase that. Y'all better stay out of the motherfucking tribes. Knowing what I know now, the requirements of the BIA, I would never join their tribes. Never. I don't give a damn what you offer. Okay? I'm not mad if y'all do. If some people have, get your benefits. I ain't mad at you. But we got to think about that. Really got to think about it. Or another strategy is to join in mass. And what do I mean by that? Let's see this. Total population of Choctaw Indians today. There are 40 to 50 million so-called black people in the United States, right? If 1 million of us join the Choctaw tribe in mass, they would have to ask the question, how come 1 million so-called black people have ancestry they can prove and their number has now dwarfed your 200,000 number? Who are the real Indians if the real Indians have more paperwork than, if these people have more paperwork than you? Or the people with paperwork, there's more of them of the black category, so-called, than there are of your 200,000. And now somebody would have to answer some questions. And mass would be the only way. Yep. If we gonna do those tribes, got to take them over all at once, or through a certain amount of time, but having a big push of, like if I become a super billionaire, I'd pay like canvassers to go out and canvass all black areas for people to get their genealogy done, and have paid genealogists that would take on those tasks of those people and actively push that number past. That's really all we would need to do. Shit, if a million of us can get on code and put $5 on it, I got 5 on it, right? I was gonna sing it, but I didn't want to sing. do do do. But we all, that's 5 million. But that stuff like that is hard to do. It's easy to say, but hard to do. And that's why a lot of times I don't knock people for coming up with these kind of solutions. They'll get on the live stream happy like they just came up with something. You know what, y'all? I got it, man. It's 48 million of us. All we need is $2. That's that's 100 million right there. We could change everything, you know. And I understand. Don't get me wrong. I've been there. I've been there, but it's not easy. Now there are some people who can do it. Typically, those people aren't trying to do what we're talking about, like your Tariq Nasheeds. I've said it in my head for years and said it sometimes on platforms, but when you get influence, you can implement uh, easy community building solutions that don't even cost you anything, but influence. Like his influence is what caused people to pay donations to get the museum through influence, not through his pocketbook. And he said he put some money on it, whatever, but not through the pocketbook, through influence. When he did the FBA rally or expo, I'm sorry, in Dallas, I was in it. I was a vendor. I said, fuck it, I'll go up there and sell some shit. It's kind of high on the vending price, $500. You can find cheaper vending opportunities here with more proven, you know, a long-lasting proven traffic of customers. But regardless, I still did it. You know, I chopped it up. I didn't make no money. Chopped it up. I barely made much money. Chopped it up to just the fact that it's just something to do for the community either way. But I remember going to it. But the whole time I was thinking like, and I had thought about it prior to then. I was like, you could be doing way more of these. In fact, you could be doing these, charging just enough for vendors to make the cost of the event through influence to where you're not coming off of any money and you're just showing up and as influence, allowing all of the people to profit and network. You can do that on a consistent basis. You can do something which I tried to do, which was called the Oklahoma Group Buying Collective. But it's basically a group buying collective. At the time, it was called Oklahoma. I got the Facebook page still up, but I don't use it. But the purpose is to have a group of people that buy from one location all at once to have a bigger impact. Spending Black is amazing, and we do that. I do that. But if we target it, we can have a bigger effect. So if you can get this group up to 1,000 people, and every month those 1,000 people buy a $20 product from one business directly, that's $20,000 of instant cash flow sales that particular business gets to make. You're not donating anything, you're buying it. So you don't feel like you're giving your money away. There's nothing they have to do other than just fulfill your order. And then you get to try out their products. There's multiple different good possibilities about this. You get to try out multiple products. And you just pull names out of a hat. You know, a bunch of Black businesses, the people who are donating or not donating, who are buying, could have their business's name in the hat, right? And then next thing you know, you pull the name out the hat every month. People make their purchase. That purchase has $20,000 in cash flow. They can take that and buy larger inventory to expand. They can take that to go brick and mortar. They can take that to do whatever they need to do. Advertising, marketing, whatever they need to do. Hopefully we can get it bigger than that. You get up to about 10,000 people. We all pay $20. Now that's $200,000 in cash once a month towards a business. What kind of impact can a person have with $200,000 in sales? Not only will you have $200,000 in sales that you can actually reinvest into your business, but your books, your invoices will show $200,000, $100,000, $75,000 in sales. That allows you access to more capital. Most people don't know that you can get loans for your business without using business credit or personal credit. They go off of business revenue. And if your business revenue is steady and has some money coming in and you can show a good amount of money, they will allow you to borrow based off of that. I've done it many times, a lot of times, still do it. So There's a lot of positives. Takes nothing but influence. When I was doing it, I didn't have no influence. I was in Oklahoma. I knew people in Oklahoma, and I had people, join, and we was doing it for. We probably did it for a good solid 4 or 5 months. My problem is, I'm not the type of person that waits things out. That's kind of a problem. I'm looking for more of a quick, fast impact when I can possibly do it. And like, if I say that to say, so when enough people aren't doing it that I feel like is making an impact, I'll put it to the side and think about doing it again later when I have a bigger influence. Which when I do get to that influence, I'll be doing these kind of solutions and many others that I got. I don't want to waste up all your time with my solutions. but yeah, like there's many different kind of solutions out there that we can do, and people like him and others. Uh, uh, Jason Black, I used to listen to him a lot. He does things. At least the thing I do like about Jason Black is he does do things tangibly. In cases, he may pair some people up with people who are trying to learn trucking or trying to learn IT or whatever, and he may put you in a position where you'll start making more money. And I've seen people come on his channel many times and give testimonials of that. And he's not charging money for courses and all this other stuff. So I won't badmouth Jason Black. I actually think what he does is a very noble thing to be able to do and help people, to move on up. So similar to what we need to do. So anyway, I'm gonna get off that little tangent. But I was already done. That's why I went on my little tangent. I didn't really have too much else for y'all, to be honest. I'll let you see the Benzes, not just playing. And your boy, but yeah, I ain't really had too much else, man. I appreciate y'all being here like always. Um, and yeah, man, like look, that's some of my goals, man. My goals is to move us forward. Yeah, I'm doing all of this stuff in order to educate us, but I do have goals just like other people to move us forward economically, tangibly in many different ways. It's gonna take more money, which is why I got to get rich in many different ways, and I'm still figuring out ways to do that. I got a lot of invention ideas. That's what I was gonna say too. For my city, like my little town, um, like I got inventions, at least 10 or more inventions that are in the waiting for me to do. One that I need to literally, I'll show y'all the people that think I'm bullshit. I literally need to cuss out my goddamn people in the Philippines. I've been cussing them out. Cause these niggas ain't man, I've been waiting on my order, dude, for my final order. I've been working on this project. It's called the Street Stop. It's a product for car detailing. I'm trying to think what's the easiest way I can show it to you. I think I know. Some of y'all have seen it, but I'm on my last order, my last part of it. I've been working on this for like 3 years almost, and now they slow playing on the shit, man, and been delayed. It's almost been some months delayed, and that's pissing me off. And my goal, though, the reason why I'm saying this, sorry, the reason why I'm saying this is products are a good way to make you rich. Selling products. An invention is even more so because an invention is a unique product. Products make you money because it's something that you don't have to do physically every day. Like for car detailing, I don't care how many orders I get, somebody got to go out there and clean that bitch, right? But if you can get enough orders for a product, ain't nobody, you just got to ship them hoes. You got to order enough and ship them, right? Somebody else is doing all the labor for that, to manufacture and all that, right? So you have an unlimited potential on what you can make compared to a laborer's job. So product, inventions, that's why, and our people have always made inventions, right? We're the most inventive people on the planet. Well, when you have inventions, if you can get you a successful invention or two or three or four, now you can open up warehouses near your city. You just need an empty building warehouse, store all your stuff there, and you can offer jobs to those people who live in that area, hopefully, or will move to that area to start working there and shipping out your products, right? Package, ship, and all that, and also assembly, if not eventual manufacturing there as well for any and all products that you do. So my products are going to be like, and that's kind of what you want to do. You want to build that first before you build the town out there, because now you have an anchor out there. You have a bunch of people working there already, and then when you start developing lands and putting houses out there, as long as you're paying your people good, not peanuts, hopefully they'll buy the houses from you, right? And hopefully they do that. And then also I do, videography, photography, eventually all that stuff. I got a podcast studio right now in Dallas, but eventually I would like to have a production studio and actually do a lot of content, film, all that other stuff. This year's documentary year. In fact, after I get off of here and after I go to the farmers market, I'm gonna plan out at least 1 to 2 documentaries a month. Not that I'm gonna actually do it. At least I'm gonna plan out at least 1 to 2 a month. I'm gonna execute at least one every other month, if not one a month, if I can do it. Start with some that are closer and some that ain't gonna cost as much money. So like things that I can drive to more close. Then I'll be doing things that I fly to as well. Um, I would love to fly to like South Carolina for the Geechee documentary. Go out to Florida for the Geechee documentary, also as well as other stuff, ancient stuff, other tribes, the Tegesta Indians and stuff like that. Cahokia, Ohio, because I'm not gonna drive that far. I've driven far. I've driven a lot in my life. I ain't doing that all the time no more. But yeah, I would like to go to these places and actually get footage for these things. So I'm gonna be planning those out. And this is my streak stopper. Now the people in that world won't really get to see it much. TikTok world can see. This is the website, but it's a little pad that comes down and sticks to your car to stop the little water streaks that form after you wash the car as you're drying the car. I pay me some little YT folks to do me some videos for me, things of that nature. Easy little pad, right? Easy little quick solution. Well, this doesn't exist on the planet, and everybody's car has this same issue after you wash it, and there is no solution for it. Okay, and for detailers, it's amazing because it keeps dripping, it drips, and you can't just let it stay there because it will not only will it keep a line there, but sometimes that line will become semi-permanent and you have to damn near buff it out in a sense. Get you some compound it out, if not buff it out, compound it out a bit, or use some water spot remover. That would be a better thing to use besides before going to that. But so these things, I got all kind of solutions. I've always been a solutions based person, and all of my inventions are solutions. Surprise, surprise, right? So and I've had these a lot of invention ideas. I've been making inventions ideas since I was a kid. When I was in high school, came up with the invention idea for an iPhone radio cover, but iPhones wasn't out at the time. Yeah, cell phone radio faceplate. So back in the day, you had the CD players that could be removed. The face of it could be removed in case somebody was to steal it. Back in the day, everybody was stealing CD. I'm so glad they don't do that no more. My shit got broken into 5 times back in the day, nigga. Because I would always have beats in my shit. I'd always have some 12s in the trunk or something, nigga, and somebody got to get my ass. But um, taking your radio was a lot, so people would take the face off the radio. Well, cell phones was just now coming out, getting kind of popular, and cell phones with I worked at Sprint at the time. Cell phones with that could play MP3 music just started to come out at the time too. So my idea at the time was, well, shit, if they made the cell phone the cell phone that can basically be your radio faceplate. Now you don't want to have a big long CD thing in the middle of it like that, and it'd be one of the little flip downs, and then the CD thing being behind it. But then not only will you never forget to take your faceplate off, because I would forget and my shit got stolen, right? Because you'll never forget to take your phone. But on top of that, your phone would have a place where it would be sitting there charging, right? Instead of having to find a place and charge it into. It would be sitting there already charging, being already on your car. And then it would also play the MP3s that was stored inside of it. See, these are the kind of things, this is the kind of mindset your boy has. And I had even in my early days. That was more, but probably in my 20s, mid 20s. But in high school, I came up with this was more novelty, but the spinning chain, a charm. I was wearing a lot of fake jewelry, that fake silver jewelry you get at the mall. I was wearing that at school all the time. Now I didn't perpetuate and act like it was real diamonds. I flexed and played like it was fake diamonds, but I flexed it. You know what I'm saying? I would have like three of them Geneva watches on and shit. Me and the niggas was had to call ourselves the Geneva Clique, stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? Spree Wells, yeah, Julie. I say Spree Wells was just out at the time. And my idea was to have a spinning chain charm like the spree wheels. But instead of having to turn it like the spree wheels, have to actually physically turn it, have certain parts of it integrated into a motor like a clock motor where this is constantly turning on your ass while you just sitting there shining. So you imagine you just sitting there chilling, this motherfucking chain right here, and it's just constantly spinning with the diamonds just glistening. Constantly. Somebody just look at you like you just flexing on purpose. You just flexing to be flexing. You know what I'm saying? I came up with that in high school. And there was something else I came up with in high school too. And I used to I was trying to pursue some of these things. I used to look up websites. It wasn't websites. It wasn't it was the internet was out, but it wasn't as prominent as it was. I used to call like Invent Help. Although little commercials come out, if you've been inventing something, blah, 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 blah. I never really did go into it. I remember calling someplace one time. I don't think it was Invent Help. Niggas gave me like $100,000 price, nigga. I hung up. It was a cell phone. I still act like I hung that bitch up. This nigga, what? It was a dial tone on that motherfucker somehow still at the end when I hung up, nigga. Dial tone. Nigga, this ain't a wired phone. when you say some numbers like that to me, nigga, it is $100,000 my ass, nigga. I'm out. Anyways. But today, fast forward today's time, I got more money to play with here and there sometimes. I ain't got that kind of money. But I've also found people in the Philippines, and the internet has now opened it up to where now we can do just like the white boys would do and go overseas without going overseas and getting your manufacturing and your prototyping done and stuff like that at a lot cheaper rate. Now, I'm probably somewhere at least somewhere near 25K into this invention, but that's not 100. And they let a nigga do payment plans. Let a nigga do payment plan. Oh, you said I could pay this in payments? How much the first payment? now I'm open. Couple thousand? Can I split the payment into payments? Can I split the first payment into payments, nigga? Shit. I'm trying to get in where I can fit in. You feel me? Being able to physically hang up a phone is a feeling to the youngsters would never experience. Exactly. It's something that will always be in the minds of us, us old heads. But anyway, man, let me get off here, man. I've been ranting going on the tangent for the last 20 minutes. It said, can my payments have payments? Exactly. Shit. And can somebody pay those for me? Can my payments have payments? And can somebody pay the payments of the payments? Because I need some time. Okay. I might put that on credit. The payments of the payments is going on credit which is being paid with credit. Not just playing. So yeah, man, I'm about to get off here, man. I'm about to hit up the farmers market, do the rest of the shit that I got to do today. I had to remember what all I got to do. But yeah, I'm gonna holler at y'all. Appreciate y'all being here like every day, every time. I'm sorry, and said don't tell your deals online, your ideas online. I wouldn't be telling them if I wasn't already confident about it. One and two, typically ain't nobody gonna steal your idea. A lot of people, they'll do those kind of things. I don't work off of fear. In many cases, you're not gonna find somebody that's gonna steal your idea that fast. Now, not to say that they can't be stolen. You want to have to be honest, you can try to protect yourself all you want. You can have as much protection going in to try to pitch your idea to a company, and they can still steal it. Mon- Modifying patents is an industry in itself. If people find your patent and they know that they see how you make it, all they have to do is make another version. So it's not about trying to protect yourself. It's really about still trying to advertise and trying to promote yourself, trying to promote your product. That's more important. And not only that, even if somebody steals your product, it still made a best man win, right? Now you want to patent it so that way you can do whatever, but still you're not going to patent your way around people who can get around patents. And I'm not only just me saying this. Go YouTube invention help videos. All your top majors will tell you. You can try to protect yourself, all that. Most likely nobody's gonna steal your idea. And if they do, um, it was gonna get stolen in the first place. The majors aren't out here like major corporations aren't out here trying to steal all the time. And if they're gonna steal, they got the money to steal. You ain't gonna be able to get past whatever they're gonna do. So say all that to say, what's up, Alicia? Appreciate that. Appreciate the hearts to you. Um, but yeah, you're not gonna get yourself out of that. If anything, because what you find is that in the fear of that of people saying, "Hey, don't do this with your idea," keeps people from expanding their idea out further to people who could potentially help them. So you can go one way that you want to. I'm gonna choose the way that I'm gonna go. I don't let fear dictate anything in my life. I will learn my lessons if I end up in a bad situation, and I will learn as much about things before I do certain things. You also don't want to just be oblivious to things and make dumb mistakes. But once you've learned everything you need to learn about whatever topic it is, don't let fear stop you from pushing forward with whatever your plans and goals are. That's what they want us to do. We're the most inventive people in the world, and if they can put any kind of thing out there to make us think that, oh, here's one of my little street stops right here, a little pad right there. Uh, but yeah, any kind of thing they can do, they'll do it. So, but yeah, anyways, I'm about to get off here, man. Appreciate everybody being in here, and